Behind every single World Cup match, behind every breathtaking goal, and honestly every massive broadcast deal, lies a hidden, incredibly complex corporate architecture. We're talking about an organization that literally wields more influence than most sovereign nations on Earth.
Think about it. What if the absolute most powerful man in football isn't a player? What if he isn't even a coach? If you look right past the pitch, past all those flashing cameras, you'll find a single, somewhat enigmatic office that commands the entire world's most popular sport.
Over $1 billion. And hey, that is just a fraction of the television broadcast deals negotiated entirely behind closed doors for just a single cycle. To put that into perspective, it's absolutely staggering. In this explainer, we are going deep inside the real, unbelievable business of FIFA.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, The Architect. The rise of Gianni Infantino. Gianni Infantino's rise to the very top. It was highly calculated. From his early background, he recognized the absolute power of communication. I mean, the man mastered 6 languages: Italian, French, German, English, Spanish, and even Arabic. This incredible linguistic mastery basically turned him into an elite international diplomat. It led him straight to the role of General Secretary at UEFA, European football's governing body. And right there, that's where he built the concrete political foundation necessary to eventually capture the FIFA presidency. You see, winning the throne of global football isn't some public vote. No way. It requires navigating this wildly intricate election process involving 211 distinct national associations. Actually, scratch that. Just think about this for a second. That is more member states than the United Nations. It's a masterclass in global political maneuvering and alliance building that cemented his ultimate sweeping presidential power. And really, every answer about his rise just creates an even bigger question about his sheer level of control.
Let's move to and see how this builds. Section 2, Inside the FIFA Machine.
All right, so this right here is the engine room of global football. It's a massive bureaucracy where power is basically split 3 ways. First, you have the FIFA Congress, which acts as the supreme legislative body for all 211 members. Then there's the FIFA Council. This is the strategic core, a small elite group making those multi-billion-dollar tournament decisions. And finally, the General Secretariat, who executes the day-to-day corporate operations. When you look at it, this is the exact machinery pulling the global levers. This is who actually makes the decisions.
Let's follow the money, shall we? Section 3, The billion-dollar business. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is exactly where these billions originate. The vast majority of this multi-billion-dollar pie, it doesn't actually come from us fans buying tickets. It is heavily dominated by television broadcasting rights and massive multinational corporate sponsorships. When you add in global licensing, merchandise, and ultra-high-end hospitality, you're looking at a highly diversified, incredibly lucrative corporate business model. And all that profit, it builds unfathomable financial reserves. We're talking about nearly $4 billion held in cash reserves alone, right alongside absolutely staggering prize money payouts. The stakes here are enormous. This kind of economic leverage provides the organization with a pretty much bulletproof buffer against global crises, giving them unparalleled control over the sport. So where does all this wealth actually flow? Well, a massive chunk goes right back out globally as tournament prize money and grassroots development funding. There are also strategic infrastructure projects, particularly in developing nations, which really helps ensure global loyalty. But it's also important to note that it funds the steep administrative expenses required to run an empire of this size, as well as digital future-proofing, like investments into the FIFA Plus streaming platform.
Section 4, Reforming a Global Empire. And this brilliantly illustrates the massive shift in their history. The pre-2015 era was frankly marred by unprecedented controversies and scandals, culminating in federal FBI and DOJ raids in Zurich that completely shook the sport's foundations and led to the arrest of top officials. But in stark contrast, the post-2015 era under the new regime is defined by strict transparency initiatives, new compliance protocols, and major internal restructuring. It's essentially a complete institutional overhaul designed to rebuild global trust. Now, with the structure reformed, their focus shifted to aggressive global expansion. This meant taking specific technological steps, like modernizing the game with VAR technology. But honestly, more importantly, it meant structurally expanding the Men's World Cup, the Club World Cup, and the Women's World Cup. Adding more participating nations, it isn't just about inclusion. It exponentially maximizes their broadcast reach and expands their global business footprint. Of course, this rapid expansion triggers some pretty intense debate. It's all about balancing global expansion with the soul of the sport. On one hand, supporters strongly argue that these changes democratize football, bringing vital resources and representation to previously ignored regions. Critics, however, are quick to point to severe fixture congestion for players, arguing that such an aggressive corporate strategy really risks eroding the traditional history of the game. It is a constant, incredibly high-stakes balancing act. Which brings us to the future and Section 5. Who truly owns football? So the crucial point is that we are witnessing an unprecedented collision here. It's the raw, deeply emotional grassroots passion of literally billions of local fans meeting head-on with a ruthlessly efficient global corporate strategy. What started over a century ago as a simple game is now, without a doubt, a meticulously engineered, highly organized global conglomerate. Which leaves us with one final, undeniable question. Does football truly belong to the fans, or has it become one of the world's biggest business empires?